Okay, so I want to just speak a little bit about film critics. Okay, that is people who are paid to basically analyze a film, a movie, um, as to what they think of it. Um, Now, I have to say from the outset, I've never, I can honestly, hand on heart, say I've never listened to what critics have to say because I really do feel that the medium of film is about individual perception. Now, I appreciate that because it's a competitive industry and because there are award systems in place such as the Oscars, the BAFTAs, the Cannes, the Sundance, all the rest of it, then obviously you need some sort of referees, so to speak, for want of a better term, people who can kind of judge. And I suppose that's the purpose that critics fill. But in terms of guiding an audience, I really, really do think that it is meaningless. Very often I've looked at critical um, write-ups on particular films. I've went to watch the film and I've really enjoyed the film. The whole point about film is about it's a form of entertainment, or at least it's a medium for entertainment or escapism. Of course, not every film is intended to be light-hearted, but I just always find the concept of film critics to be a little bit arrogant. Like they and they alone can determine what's good and bad. Now, I appreciate that if someone has studied the history of film and they have studied techniques that directors use and this sort of thing, they're going to know something about how the industry works. I appreciate that. But I'm never going to choose whether to watch a film or not based on what some critic says. And I also think that another thing that puts me off critics is that there is a pedantic and at times politically correct attitude among film directors. Right now, I'm watching the film Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Now, apparently, the character Jar Jar Binks was dismissed because one critic, for example, described it as racial stereotypes. Now, to me, that's politically correct nonsense. The character was provided for comic relief. So to me, I just don't think they have a particularly productive purpose. Critics are paid to criticize. I'm not saying that they're totally, there should be no role for them whatsoever. And I'm not attacking all critics. There are critics who I would agree with and who give fair reviews. But I just think there's something a little bit obnoxious about having this little elite set of people dictating what's good and what's bad. The whole point about the film industry is its target a mass audience. Surely the people deciding whether a film is good or not should be the people who are watching the film, i.e., the people who are paying money to watch it in the cinema or buying it on DVD. So I don't spend I just don't give critics much credence because there's been a lot of films I have personally felt were very good that got quite a raw deal from the critics. Now, I'm not a film student. I'm not an expert or, I haven't taken a major in the history of directing, and I couldn't give a long thesis on what techniques directors use and all the ins and outs from that point of view. But I am a lover of film, and I like what I like. And I think there's something about the whole nature of critics that just strikes me as a bit arrogant. Um, I mean, put it this way, critics get paid to write up, and more often than not, they're very negative. But I just think it's a little bit like, the direct for the director. Being a director is an enormously pressurizing job. Putting a film together takes enormous work, enormous patience, and it just seems a bit unfortunate to me that a director goes through all that only to have some critic to write up a piece just slamming his or her film. Let the audiences decide. I just think it's a bit like, throwing stones when you're not really taking much responsibility. My point is, it's very easy to criticize, but critics, I'd like to see the position reverse. how well would they do if they had to make a film? Um, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be criticism. Sometimes there's good cause to criticize films. Some films are better than others. It's like anything in life. There's going to be a hierarchy of good and bad, but a lot of it is down to personal opinion. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong to like the films I like because it's personal taste. I cannot dictate to others, oh, that's a terrible film. How dare you like that film? It's a bit like music. And the same applies to music critics. Okay, these people might have particular knowledge about the history of music, about the history of a particular band, about how certain instruments are used, and so on. But ultimately, people need to just accept that when it comes down to these sort of mediums, it is about personal perception. So if I like a film, I like it because I like it. It's not a case of liking it because I appreciate a particular technique the director has used or whatever. I'm not going to get into some big long thesis about why a particular film's better than another film. I could maybe analyze it a little bit, and I do that in my film reviews. But my film reviews are deliberately not intended to be comprehensive because it is personal opinion. And I've no right to tell anyone else, oh, this film's rubbish, or how can you like that film? Might be my opinion, but that's basically why I don't give much time to film critics, because it's their own opinion in the end of the day. And there's films that, in my opinion, have been very good films, have been slammed by the critics. Um, and what gives them a right to rubbish a film and as such rubbish the director? Let the audience decide. Because, like I say, a director spent a lot of time putting work into it. It's not an easy task. I would argue it's one of the hardest jobs there is, being a film director. And okay, they get paid a lot of money, so I'm not like, I'm not ignoring that factor, but it is a difficult job. I would imagine it requires enormous patience and a lot of test and error. Um, so that's it. What do you think of film critics? Maybe you are a film critic, and well, you're not going to like the things I've been saying, but the point I would just make is, in the end of the day, even if you do know a lot about technique and all the rest of it, you can't tell someone they're wrong for liking a film, because that's the whole point of the film, is to put out its entertainment value, to put out the pitch to an audience. Um, and if people like it, they like it. So to me, there's a bit of a snootiness about critics. Um, I'm not sort of attacking all critics as I'm not saying all critical reviews are negative. There are positive reviews as well. But let me know your thoughts. Do you pay much attention to critics when you go to see a film? I don't. I mean, when I see reviews like the critics are calling it, I think, well, that's good, but I'll see for myself. What I tend to base my interest in films on, trailers, I admit, do play a big part for me, but also the synopsis. I will look at the storyline and perhaps sometimes the actors. Those are the main motivating factors for me. Also, I like to have a diverse range of films, so I might watch a period film one week, 2 weeks later, I might watch a sci-fi. So I like to get a good diverse range of films in my experience of watching films. Let me know your thoughts.